Mr. Roshan Parashram Singh, President of Arya Pratinidhi Sabha of Trinidad and Tobago, to read out or just to introduce our second speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Chair of the Maharishi Dayanand University, Professor Dr. Ravi Prakash Aryaji, members of the Advisory Committee of the Chair, guest speaker, distinguished guests, scholars, pundits, punditas, devotees, the present, namaste. It is with my pleasure that I welcome you to day 4 of our International Satyarth Prakash workshop. My task this afternoon is a very humble one, the introduction of our guest speaker for today, second half of the workshop. On behalf of the Chair of the Maharishi Dayanand University, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's workshop. Pandit Prashant Kumar Sharma resides in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. He works as a network engineer as one of the major telecommunication carriers in Australia. He is a propounded president and Purohit of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha and Arya Samaj of Melbourne. He founded 2 registered Arya Samaj in Melbourne. He is the initiator of the Youth Sammelan for youths in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and India. Pandit Prashant Kumar Sharma is the grandson of the late Pandit Hardayal Sharma, pioneer of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha of Fiji and one of the early managers of the Gurukul Primary School. I now hand over to you, our distinguished and humble speaker for today's workshop, Pandit Prashant Kumar. Namaste.
Thank you, Roshan Parashramji.
Namaste. I'm Pandit Prashant Kumar Sharma of Melbourne, Australia. Today, I've been given the task of talking about the relevance and importance of Chapter 2 of Satyarth Prakash with modern context. Why is it necessary today? Before I start, let me acknowledge the Chairperson, Professor Dr. Ravi Prakash Aryaji, and the distinguished speakers. Some of them have spoken before me. It is talking about the first Samula's first chapter, the second chapter, and the others who will be doing it after me for the other chapters, and also in the inauguration. I would also like to acknowledge not forgetting the helpers. I would like to acknowledge the people who have made this project a possibility. People who have given the time to plan and to work towards so that it can be executed well. And lastly, but not the least, I would like to thank all of you for listening to me. Let's start with chapter 2. What I will do is I will give you a synopsis of it, as I've been given a time frame. I will only have to speak in that time, and in that time I will try to give you a synopsis of it, what it is about, and why it is relevant to today's world. So, chapter 2 starts with the Brahman quote. Says, Matraman, Pitraman, Acharyavan, Purusho Veda. And what it is saying, it is talking about the 3 distinguished teachers. They are very important in a person's life. And what are these 3? What is Matra, that is mother, Pitra, father, and Acharya, the teacher, who guides that particular person into the world to what you call execute everything that the person has learned towards the betterment, not only of himself or herself, but also of the humanity as a whole. So what it's saying that indeed those people, the Hindi word for that is Saubhagyashali, they are privileged who have got all these 3s. And these are the Satyarth Prakash, as you would have known, is written by Maharishi Swamidayananda Saraswati ji. Now, who was Maharishi Swamidayananda Saraswati? Everybody knows him that he was a great reformer. He was a founder of Arya Samaj, etc., etc., etc. But what he was actually, Maharshi, he was a rishi. What is the definition of rishi? Rishi, like in the first chapter, if you would have heard that, you would have heard the word apta. That was in context with the Almighty God, the Ishwar. Here, the apta is in context with the human or jivatma, like we are. But what are rishi? Are we rishis? No. So, what is a rishi? The definition of rishi is given as apta. The person who is apta is called rishi, or the person who possesses apti is called rishi. What is apti? So if we go to the Nyaya Darshan, one of the 6 schools of philosophy, Nyaya Darshan, which was written by Maharishi Gautam, and the bhashya of it, the elaboration of it has been done by Acharya Vatsyayan. Who was Acharya Vatsyayan? Acharya Vatsyayan is also known as Acharya Chanakya, also known as Acharya Vishnugupta Sharma. What he says in the bhashya that, I'll say in Hindi first, आप तो उसको कहते हैं जो पृथ्वी से लेके परमेश्वर पर्यंत जो जो पदार्थ जैसा जैसा है उसका यथार्थ ज्ञान रखता है, वो आप्त कहलाता है. और जो यथार्थ ज्ञान जो है उस परमेश्वर पृथ्वी से परमेश्वर पदार्थों का, उसको आप्ति कहते हैं. That means what he is saying, who has realized, that means who has done his yoga and who has founded the Almighty, who has seen the Almighty, who is learning through that intellect, that person from earth all the way to the Almighty, whatever he wants to know, or he or she, I'm just saying he as a metaphor, it's because he or she, I'm not doing the gender bias thing here. It's easier to say one word than every time he, she, type of thing. So what happened? The person who has attained the knowledge, who has realized the knowledge, all the way from Prithvi, that is earth, to the Parameshwar, to the Almighty God, that person in Prithvi se Parameshwar Paryant, whatever materials, whatever he has realized, whatever he wants to know, the Yathat as it is, without any error, is called a Rishi. And the thing is, because it is as it is, the other Rishi who has realized the same thing will see that exactly the same thing. There will be no contradiction in them. There's not the slightest of contradiction in them. So that is a Rishi. And that Rishi then gives it, disseminates that knowledge to the humankind, the mankind. Now, we are talking about the 3 gurus. After this thing, let's go back to chapter 2, or the second Sammulas. Someone, I presume you would already have been explained why it is called Sammulas, not chapter or Adhyaya or anything else. Why is it out of the league of the other books that's been written? I'm not taking it here. I'm not explaining it here. I presume it would have been explained to you. So Matra, your mother, the Matraman. So it's been said that your mother and your father both are supposed to be dharmic with one. What is dharma? Dharma is not religion. Dharma is dharma. I'm again not explaining that here. If you want to read about it, you can go to my website, www.melbournearea.com, and on that there's a link, my blogs. If you read on that blogs, there's one about the dharma in Hindi as well as in English. You can read the English one if you prefer, or the Hindi one. So it is said that these two are supposed to be dharmic with one. That means they have to conduct. They practice the conduct. They show the conduct. They display the conduct in the actual life. What conduct? The righteous conduct. What is a righteous conduct? Righteous conduct is what has been given to you by the Vedas. Why? Because it is for the entire humanity, not a particular sect, not a particular creed, not a particular group of people, etc. So they said there has to be this thing and they have to practice that. How they are practicing it? By displaying it practically, by learning about it, then displaying it. Then if a person has got this thing, I'm not talking about Acharya yet, we will come to Acharya later. So what say that when they decide, when the couple, husband and wife, they decide, or father and mother to be, and decide to become parents, before they cohabit, they have to have certain conditions. What are the conditions? They should not cohabit unless they are free of diseases. If you are sick, you've got this thing and you should not cohabit, you should not do this thing, because you will pass that on, that weakness in your child. And you should be free of genetic disorder. If you want the child to be really, really good, then the cohabitation should be of their own free will, provided both of them are mentally and physically well. And they have agreed mutually that, yes, we want the children. It's not that one wants it, one does not want a child. And they're ready for this thing. And it's not that you just start doing it the day you want it. You have to practice, you have to show your conduct all your life before that. What it includes eating, sleeping, drinking, all in a disciplined way, as inculcated in Vedas. So of Vedas, the rishis, whatever it's called is Arsh Granth, whatever they've written, they've produced books, they've elaborated whatever is required for a particular human to be a better person. They are called Arsh Granthas. They've elaborated more because Ved are in the root form, they're in the mool form. So what they said, like the Ayurveda is taken from Vedas, and rishis have elaborated, even though there are a lot of things you will find that it's not by the rishis that have been added later, but generally Ayurveda. And of course, you have to learn from a person who knows Ayurveda, who studied about it, and he knows how much dose of the particular Ayurvedic medicine has to be given. Ayurveda is basically natural, free from side effects. That means it does not connect chemical composition of other things, and it is light and easily digestible. Unlike many other medicines which are chemically made, produces side effect. Example, taking antibiotics produces a laxative effect. And even though it kills the pathogens in your body, it also kills the good bacteria, which is required for us to digest and use the juice of that food we have eaten. So they have to practice the conduct. They have to conduct like that with the full discipline. It's not like when we are living, say, in Australia. I'm in Australia, so I'm talking about Australia as a developed country. So in Australia, people say that, all right, we are working 5 days a week. There are 2 days that are given to us, Saturday and Sunday. And that time we are supposed to rest. Yes, you're supposed to rest, but what? With the discipline, not without the discipline. That means you have a discipline of getting up early, you have a discipline of getting up early and cleaning yourself, having shower, going to the toilet and all, and then doing your sandhya, doing your vyayam, doing your agnihotra. Why agnihotra? Agnihotra. What is agnihotra? Agnihotra is a devya, the one we do. That's called nitya agnihotra. Even, however, erroneously, many people say it as Dainik Yajna. Again, I'm not going in there. It is called Nitya Agnihotra, Nitya Yajna. And what it contains 4 types of products in it when you are putting in the fire, which becomes minute when putting in the fire. Fire makes it minute, breaks it down into minute particles, and spreads it into the atmosphere. What it does, it produces such smoke, or the environment is purified of it. Because of it, all the pathogens and all are killed. Why? Because the 4 type of ingredients that are in there, one is called odoriferous, like chandan, agar, tagar, etc. Why they are mixing this thing? It produces sweet, very good smell, and the better the smell is, the better your mental capability is. the more relaxed you are. Then the second they produce is the thing that the material we are using is one which contains proteins and complex carbohydrates, etc., etc., and saturated fats, of course. What are these? Rice, uncooked rice, jow, barley, then urad, whole moon, almonds. These are the things which contains protein as well as complex carbohydrates and the saturated fat, which are necessary for our body. Then the third one is the sweet connecting things. So they put sugar, jaggery, kishmish, etc., chuare and all, sultanas or whatever you want to call it. And the fourth one is the somalta one, the medicinal quality one, where we put giloy, tulsi, etc., these type of things, the Ayurvedic medicine ones. The mixture of all these, when put in the fire, goes into minute particles, spreads into the atmosphere, gets rid of the pathogens, and produces the makes the atmosphere, which produces easy feeling, light feeling, happy feeling. So that is why they are supposed to do all these things. And other things is parmanu. Parmanu, I can't say a word for parmanu in English. Parmanu, as defined by Maharshi Kanad in Vaisheshik Darshan, it is the 1/60th of an anu. Or in other words, it is something that cannot be divided further. So atom, you can split it, the atom, molecules, you can split into different things, atomic particles and all atomic particles. You can keep on splitting, and the minutest one is called parmanu. People have tried explaining it like as bosons, some have said quarks, some it says hadrons, fermions, but these are again English words, and if you do it, I'm not sure whether I can use those as a parmanu, but for this thing, we leave it as parmanu. Why I'm saying this thing, there are few words which cannot be translated in English, like moksha, like satya. Satya people have translated as truth, which is not correct. Dharma as religion, which is not correct again. I'll give you an example. In a book, Dayanand Saraswati, His Life and Ideas, written by Professor J.T.F. Jordans. J.T.F. Jordans, who was J.T.F. Jordan? He was a reader in South Asian civilization at the Australian National University in Canberra. He used to be, not anymore. He's 95 years old now. He was born in Belgium. And if you read about this thing, if you read his book, Dayanand Saraswati, His Life and Ideas, and then again he wrote another one. He's wrote many books, but I'm just talking about these two. He also wrote about Shraddhananda, about Gandhi and all, but I'm just talking about Swami Dayanand Saraswati. And then he wrote essays on that, where he debunked many other things that has been added in the name of Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He has debunked those, like the book Yogi Ka Atmacharit. Well, that is a different matter. Let's come back to chapter 2, which is the upbringing of children of Satyarth Prakash. So chapter 2 of Satyarth Prakash, upbringing of children. So what we are concentrating on is how we should upbring our children and why it is important to upbring our children like that. So it tells you how mother and father or the couple who intends to produce children should behave, should conduct themselves. They should be free of disease. They should not be mentally stressed, not in depression or not in anxiety. They have to be calm, and that can only come through practice. You cannot do it just suddenly you become like this. No. So it is said in what days they should conceive, what days they should cohabit. They should be free of the food we are talking about, what food they should do, what radicals they should be free of, and other things. So they should not eat food which has gone bad, which is a bit of foul smelling, and you shouldn't use intoxicants. You should be clean. You shouldn't wear clothes which has been worn for ages and it's covered of sweat and other things. So you have to be clean. You have to keep yourself clean. Not only with this thing, your outside and inside clean, as well as your mental clean. And when the child is born, it also this chapter also gives few days the mother should breastfeed or give her milk to the child. And after that, a dasi or a servant or a lady who does this type of thing is passed on, and that lady gives some milk. And if that lady is not available, after how many days you're supposed to give the cow's milk or goat milk, and how it's given, that's other thing that's been given there. And why? The reason for this is because the mother, she has gone through a lot. 9 months, 9 solar months, keeping a child in the womb, or 10 lunar months. And after that, the pain of the delivery, it completely exhausts, takes a lot out of her. So she has to go back to her youth, to go back to her youthful appearance, go back to full energy, ready for the life. As you know, that the child is made up of the elements of mother's body. So a lot of things have gone from the body which were inside, and child was feeding through the mother. Because when the child was in the womb, child feeds through the navel, through what the mother is eating and all. So that's why they have to have food and all as per the disciplined uptake of food described by the Ayurveda. And meanwhile, what the husband is doing, the husband has to exercise self-restraint so that he does not lose his virile power, keeps it well preserved. And the husband has to do a tapa so that he remains brilliant. He is radiating like a sun. He's full of energy, full of life. That is what they passes through. And after the child is born, the parents are required to give them instructions. What type of instructions? That you have to have self-restraint. You should have the love of learning. I mean, that's what they have to tell them. And you stay with the good company. How we can do it? By displaying it practically, by acharan. And the parents should discourage what? Pernicious game. Pernicious games, which are for giving the hard things, which does not give good things. And what else? That this you should not do. You should be doing everything what your conduct should be. The conduct that in the life on promotes, what it promotes is promotes celibacy as a student, and the student, whatever the student life will be, so that they can maintain their energizing fluids. Once they maintain the energizing fluids, they are good to learn. They find it very easy to grasp knowledge. And they should not lose all these things. And there are certain things which they should shun, like unnecessary laughing, unnecessary weeping, these type of things. Touching of the organs, which promotes losing the energizing fluid. They should stop all these things. And then after that, the child is 5, so they should start teaching that child alphabets and how the words are formed, how the sentences are formed, how you pronounce the things, what are dentals, what are labials, etc. Alphabets pronounced from this thing, like the labials, pa, you're pronouncing it through your lips, these type of things. And what are called sutras, what are called shlokas, what are called mantras, and how they are, and they should listen to this, so they have got a good grasping before they go to the Gurukul, to the teacher, to the Acharya. They have a good understanding of this thing. Now, other things they have to tell is, do not go into superstition or false belief or unwise and unrighteous things. So they should explain, like There's a simple thing that they said, oh, he's been possessed by a pret. There's a pret that will possess you. He is possessed by a bhoot. So what are they? What is a pret? The body or a dead body where the soul has already left that body. Soul has departed from that body. That body is called pret. Our body, what we look like. When the soul is not there, it is called pret. And the people who carries that body for the cremation, taking it to the shamshan, the cemetery, or the coffin bearers, you want to call them, they are called pretahara. And bhoot, once this body is cremated, it is called bhoot, or it's gone in the past. The past it was there. All the rishis from Brahma onwards up to Maharshi Swami Dayananda Saraswati have inculcated there. That's what they have. That's what they have said. And this is what you are supposed to tell them now. Do not get stuck into these type of people. Do not go and what you call listen to these charlatans. Why? Because people do a lot of things to say. They said, all right, you have to learn about Jyotisha. What is a Jyotish? This is a Jyotish Shastra. That is what we have made a Jarampatri of yours. We have made what you will become in this thing. That particular knowledgeable person, the Jyotish person, has said, no. Jyotish is not that. What is Jyotish? Jyotish has been explained as containing algebra, astronomy, geography, time calculation, etc. The granths, the books, the scriptures, which gives all these things are called Jyotish Shastra and are named as Siddhanta, like the Surya Siddhanta, Vashishta Siddhanta, etc. So this is what you're supposed to learn, not Jyotish that it will predict your future. If that would have done it, we wouldn't have no problem in the world whatsoever, because we would have known about the problems beforehand and we would have prevented that. Then another thing, these charlatans, sometimes they say, all right, I'm Hanuman. You have to do this thing. Or they said, he's possessed by Kal Bhairav because of the mental disease and all, some children, depression and all. Oh, he's possessed by Kal Bhairav or by Shitla Mata. And you have to give this thing. What do you have to give? You have to give 5 black chickens, or 5 black hens, or 5 black roosters, and a red rum, a bottle of red rum. Overproof rum. It has to be red in color. This is what we have to give. Combination of red and black. And by using this thing, I will take this thing. And in case it fails and the child dies of some unforeseen circumstances or unfortunate circumstances, then they said, oh, what can we do? It's not in our hand, it's in God's hand. But if the child improves, oh, they said, look at this. This is what our knowledge is. This is what we have done. We have changed this thing. Unfortunately, we have to tell our children that all these grahas, the planets and constellations and these things, what are they? They are inanimate objects. They cannot be pleased by providing these things. They cannot change their course or anything. They are bounded by the rules, the natural laws, the laws of the Niyanta, the Almighty, who's made those niyams. This is what we have to tell them. No, do not get stuck with these people. They will give you the wrong things. And sun is producing heat. Sun is providing life, not by doing this thing. Its duty is this thing. It is what it is made up of. It is a cosmic body. Then you have to explain them slowly how these things happen. What are nebulas? What are the constellations? What are the planets? What are the stars? Professor Krauss, Lawrence Krauss, also of Canberra University, in his book, A Universe from Nothing, has said that this universe is made from something, is made from nothing, and that nothing is something. We have got a simple term for that, that is called Akash or ether. Again, these are all part of Vaisheshik and all. Coming back to chapter 2, these are the things the children should know. All right, so They don't become andhak, they don't become a blind follower. They use their reasoning intellect. That's what will help them. That's what will help them become a better person. That's what will help them when they go to the acharya. Now the acharya. What is an acharya? Acharya is a person, a teacher, male for males, female for females. In those days, there used to be gurukulas or gurukuls, which got changed. It's even though there were wrong things started in the gurukul and all from the ages about after Mahabharata. But what happened is, after the British has taken over India, Bharat, Aryavrat, whatever you want to call it, the education system was changed by Macaulay. Once Macaulay changed this thing, these things have gone. Now Arya Samaj has started putting back the gurukulas and all, and coming back to the original studies, original way of studying, original way of developing children. Now, what type of children used to go, and what are these things? People have generated caste system and all. There is no caste system. There is a Varn system. Though. What is Varn system? Maharshi Dayanand in a Varn Vyavastha in Rigvedadi Bhashya Bhumika explains that the humankind is one. That's one jati. Then they've divided into 4 Varnas. One is called Brahman, one is called Kshatriya, one is called Vaishya, and one is called Shudra. So these are the 4 types of Varnas in that. And they're divided according to their work, the way they work, and what they're capable of, the capabilities and work ethicalities. So what is ethical in this thing? And the children of the first 3 Varnas, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, they used to wear yajopavits, the sacred thread. Shudra's child did not wear did not get this sanskar done at home. But however, when they go to the Gurukul, to the Acharya does that and makes them their Antevasi. Why it's not done? Many people say that's discrimination. No, it is not discrimination, because humans are one. And these are done according to the work they do. For example, the 3 Varnas, the top 3 Varnas, they have studied, they're literate. And the 4th Varna, even though he or she went to the Gurukul, but was unable to comprehend the things, was not made for studying. So that person does the manual work and the other work for the 3 Varnas, like cooking and all sort of other things. Does not mean that person is low or anything. So because that person, that Shudra, is not literate, he is not allowed to do the yajapavit of his child. Simple as that. You would not put a person who has not studied maths as a maths professor in university. Of course not. And then the Acharya used to do it and make them Antevasi, like the mother carries a child in the womb. Acharya carries those children in his womb. What is represented by womb is in his Gurukula. Like the mother gives everything from the body, Acharya teaches them everything he knows. Same thing for the female Acharyas and the students. And now we come, that was the Gurukul system. But before they go to the Gurukul, there are certain things they were taught to. What their conduct should be with the others, how they should interact with the elders, how they should interact with the ones with the same age group, and how they should interact with the ones that are younger than them. So as they grow up, they maintain that conduct. They maintain the interacting thing or the vyavahar with other people. They remain as brahmacharis, the celibates. They are not allowed to indulge into certain things which will, prompt them to break this brahmacharya. And while they are there, they are taught the Mahabhashyas and other things in the Gurukuls. And this, I'm not reading this. This is what is explained in this book. As I said, I've got very limited time on this thing. Now let's see. So Acharya, what is the definition of Acharya? Acharya is defined as, in the Upnayan Sanskar, in the Sanskar Vedi, Maharshi Dayanand explains that Acharya is the one, I'll say it in Hindi again, Acharya usko कहते हैं जो सांगोपांग वेदों के शब्द, अर्थ, संबंध और क्रिया का जानने हारा, छल कपट रहित, अति प्रेम से सबको विद्या का दाता परोपकारी तन मन और धन से सबको सुख बढ़ाने में और जो तत्पर महाशय पक्षपात किसी के ना करे और सत्योपदेश का सबका हितैषी धर्मात्मा जितेंद्रिय होवे. That means Acharya is the one who has learned all the scriptures, that is Ved and the Ang and Upang, that means the limbs of the body and the limbs of the Ved. That person has studied, and how one is related to the other. Example, I'll give you. Apta Shabd, which is also comes as Shabd Praman. So you have to see where that it comes in the Sankhya Darshan, it comes in the Yoga Darshan, it comes in the Vaisheshik Darshan, how it's been explained, and Vedotpati Upsha in Rigveda Adi Bhashya Bhumika, Maharishi Dayananda explained that. So this is how you should do it. Or until and unless you have learned all the scriptures, the knowledge of this thing, you won't be able to get it correctly. Example, Akash. And if you just read the Sashti Vidya Vishaya Rigveda Adi Bhashya Bhumika without reading the third chapter or the third samulas of the Satyarth Prakash, you will get confused. I'm not going into that. What is Akash? So, and of course, it's been quoted from the Vaisheshik by Maharshi Kanath, Vaisheshik Darshan. Okay, come back to chapter 2. So why is it relevant in these days when we don't send our children to Gurukul and all? It is extremely relevant, extremely important. Countries like almost all countries now, it's going this way. You cannot tell the children what to do and what not to do. We say that we give them the freedom. Yes, you are supposed to give them the freedom. You're supposed to guide them, but explain to them until, and we can only explain it until unless we practice it. We cannot tell them not to drink alcohol by having a glass of wine in our hand. We cannot tell them that, no, do not treat others this way because it is bad. Because you have to explain that if someone treats you like that, you don't feel good, you don't like it. That means you should not be teaching others like that. This is what we are required to teach people or our children. And in fact, when they learn this thing, then they will become better humans. They will not get stuck into superstition. I've seen many people, many literate people also, have done big degrees and all, but that does not mean they are knowledgeable, they know these things. They become andhbhakt, they blindly follow things. People have said, you once you start doing this thing, you will get a job, you will get this thing. All right, give me some money. Sure, if we give some money to this guy, he will do puja for us, he will do prayers for us, and that thing will become good. No, that thing only becomes good if you work towards it. For example, you did not pass the exam without studying, you had to study. This thing, this Satyarth Prakash, I'm only talking about chapter 2 now. This chapter 2 is extremely relevant in nowadays. It was relevant when it was written. It is relevant now, and it will be relevant in the upcoming future and the future beyond that. Why? Because the truth never changes. Again, I'm saying truth. Truth is a metaphor. Satya is the right word. Satya never changes. Whatever was good at that time is good this time. It will be good at that time. I'm not talking about any material things. I'm talking about the discipline. I'm talking about the goodness. Whatever was good then is good now and will be good again and will remain good. It is extremely important that we follow this Satyarth Prakash. You cannot read chapter 2, start with chapter 2 without reading chapter 1. Until unless you know about God, you will not have believed. You might have the andhbhakti or blind following, and you will take it as something else. Until unless you have read chapter 2, you should not go on chapter 3, because this one continues on that. Tells you what you need to do, what are the patan things, how you to study this. This chapter 2, it just gives you the hint of upbringing the children. Children, we said they are our Atmaj, they are our soul. We have poured our soul into them, and they should be giving you happiness, not sorrows. And when the child does wrong, parents are the ones who feel the most. Even though the child is suffering too, parents suffer with the child. And you people can see that in your life. You people can see that everywhere. That is why this chapter, this is very important to know. That is the relevance of this text. That's the relevance of this book. That is the relevance of this chapter, or the sammulas, so that we proceed towards happiness. Like I said, I could not give the whole thing. I've just given you a synopsis of that. I could not provide it from other scriptures, other books and all. The reason being, there's a time limit and we are not studying this thing. I'm taking other classes but that's in Hindi. I take it to the students of Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and India. We study Satyarth Prakash. We try to do this thing. It takes a lot of we have done many months of studies on that, and we have reached chapter 9 on that, or the Navam Sammulas. With all the thing, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for providing me this opportunity to the project group. Thank you and namaste.
ये हमने देखा ऑस्ट्रेलिया से किस प्रकार से प्रशांत ने सत्यार्थ प्रकाश के दूसरे चैप्टर की व्याख्या की, क्योंकि पंडित प्रशांत एक इंजीनियर हैं, तो उन्होंने अनेक स्थलों पर वैज्ञानिक चर्चा भी की और एक बहुत सुंदर बात कही कि जो सत्य है वो चिरंतन रहता है, हमेशा बना रहता है, और क्योंकि सत्यार्थ प्रकाश सत्य को डील करता है तो कभी भी इस विश्व के अंदर किसी भी समय उसकी जो रेलेवेंस है, प्रासंगिकता है, वो समाप्त नहीं हो सकती, क्योंकि सत्य चिरस्थायी है और इसलिए सत्यार्थ प्रकाश भी अपने आप में चिरस्थायी रहेगा। उन्होंने परमाणु की भी व्याख्या की और धर्म के बारे में भी बताया और ये भी बताया कि इन शब्दों के कोई पर्यायवाची शब्द अंग्रेजी में नहीं है। अगर सत्य को हम ट्रुथ कहते हैं तो वो ट्रुथ से उसकी सही परिभाषा नहीं हो सकती है, धर्म की कोई सही परिभाषा रिलीजन नहीं हो सकती है। और इसी प्रकार से जो भी हमारे साहित्य में जो शब्द प्रयोग होते हैं उसमें उनके पर्यायवाची शब्द, पाप और पुण्य का भी पर्यायवाची शब्द अंग्रेजी भाषा में नहीं है। तो ये एक टेक्निकल टर्म्स हैं हमारे साहित्य की, हमारे धरोहर की, और वो टेक्निकल जो टर्म्स हैं उनको आप बदल नहीं सकते। तो इस प्रकार से बहुत ही सुंदर हमने देखा आज के दोनों स्पीकर्स, एक आवाज़ ऑस्ट्रेलिया से थी और एक भारत से आवाज़ थी, और भारत से बहुत ही हमारे विद्वान जो प्रवक्ता थे उन्होंने बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण भाषण भी दिया और पूरे सत्यार्थ प्रकाश के उसको विद्या से स्त्रियों के बारे में जिस प्रकार से महर्षि ने कहा उसको सब समझाया। और आचार्य प्रशांत ने भी संतानोत्पत्ति से लेकर के जो भी अच्छा मनुष्य निर्माण की प्रक्रिया है सत्यार्थ प्रकाश से उस पर प्रकाश डाला। तो इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं आचार्य प्रशांत का भी अत्यंत धन्यवाद करता हूँ। आई थैंक कोमल चंद्र राधा किशोर जी फ्रॉम मॉरिशस, आचार्य ब्रह्मदेव फ्रॉम मॉरिशस, अश्विनी राजपाल फ्रॉम कैनेडा, प्रोफेसर रणवीर सिंह फ्रॉम महेंद्रगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर V.K. अलंकार फ्रॉम चंडीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर ब्रह्मदेव गुरुकुल कांगड़ी हरिद्वार, प्रोफेसर विनय कुमार from Haridwar Gurukul Kangdi, Dr. Shanti Mahavir from Mauritius, my friend Alois Heinrich from Germany, and another my friend Krishna Prakash Tripathi from Banaras, Professor Naresh Dhiman from Punjab, Professor Vishram Ramvilas from South Africa, Pandita Usha Devi Prasad from South Africa, Dr. Deen Dayal Vidalankar from Gurukul Kangdi Haridwar, and Irul Ram Swarup from Trinidad, and many other. I can see another 55 scholars are there in the list, but it's not time to name all the scholars who have attended this seminar. So I thank everybody, all the participants who are keen to or who are making this workshop a success.